Welcome to the La Rapport episode 57. Nothing that I say in this episode is legal advice and should be construed as such. For legal advice, please contact an attorney of your choice. Today I'm going to look at the proposed amendments to the Immigration Ordinance and regulations, but I'm going to look specifically at one proposal, and I refer to this proposed amendments as show your papers please law. I'll be back to discuss it shortly. Welcome back. The Ministry of Immigration and Border Services has launched its consultation proposals and amendments to the Immigration Ordinance and regulations. One of the proposed amendments is to grant powers to immigration and police officers to arrest and detain persons not in possession of documents proving their legal status. This proposed amendment I refer to as show me your paper please law. If this proposal, in my view, is enacted, the Turks and Caicos Islands will be on par with North Korea, Belarus, China, Russia, and other communist and totalitarian regimes. Most disturbingly, this will be a throwback to Adolf Hitler's 1940s Germany. Nazism and totalitarianism is afoot in the Turks and Caicos Islands. From 1933 to 1943, under the rule of Adolf Hitler, Germany quickly became a totalitarian state where many aspects of life were controlled by the government. Well, the country was literally transformed into a dictatorship. Now, show me your papers, please, is an expression associated with police state functionaries demanding identification from citizens during random stops at checkpoints and during police operations. It is a cultural metaphor for life in a police state. Is that what we want here in the Turks and Caicos Islands? The phrase was popularized as the first line in the classic 1942 movie Casablanca, which depicted life in Vichy controlled Casablanca during World War II. The movie opens with the scene of police officers searching a hotel for refugees fleeing from Nazi-controlled territory. The first line of the movie is spoken by a police officer to a civilian he stopped on the street. "May we see your papers, please?" he asked. The civilian produces a document, but the second police officer declares, "It's expired 3 weeks ago," and began telling the civilian he's under arrest. The civilian attempts to flee from the police. A gunshot is heard, and the civilian falls to the ground. This is what the future of the Turks and Caicos Islands will look like under this absurdity of a proposal. Although, under the proposed amendment, the law would still require police officers or immigration officers to have reasonable suspicion that a person is in the islands unlawfully. The absurdity, in my view, of requiring citizens to carry around papers proving their citizenship will diminish the Turks and Caicos Islands standing internationally. This proposal flies in the face of a long-standing constitutional safeguards forbidding such police state tactics. Let us, for one moment, set aside the debate over illegal immigration and think long and hard about what it means when government agents start demanding that law-abiding citizens show or carry with them at all times their papers and penalty of arrest. The problem with allowing government agents to demand identification from anyone they suspect might be an illegal immigrant, as currently proposed, is that it lays the groundwork for a society in which you are required to identify yourself to any government agent who demands it. Such tactics quickly lead one down a slippery slope that ends with government agents empowered to subject everyone, citizens and non-citizens alike, to increasingly intrusive demands that they prove not only that they are legally in the Turks and Caicos Islands, but also that they are following every statute and regulations and the book. As previously mentioned, although the amendment would still require the immigration officer or the police officer to have reasonable suspicion that a person is illegal in the islands, it is a subjective assessment that could be based on anything, including the feelings of the officer, malintention, or personal grudges. Remember, this is not merely identification. It goes way beyond that. Therefore, a driver's license, a national insurance card, or an NHIP card will not be sufficient to establish status. Thus, law-abiding citizens lose the right to come and go as they please without the fear of being questioned by agents of the state and forced to identify themselves. This is typically what takes place in police states, totalitarian states, and authoritarian states. It is Nazism and fascism at its best. Remember, the police state does not discriminate. At some point, it will not matter the color of your skin or whether you are born in the Turks and Caicos Islands or not and have required the requisite documentation. It will not matter whether you are an immigrant or a citizen. It will not matter whether you're rich or poor. It will not even matter whether you're walking, driving, or flying. It is an absurdity so reprehensible in my view that there should be protest. There should be public outcry and condemnation. If the authorities really want to deal decisively with illegal immigration, a good starting point in my view is to declare war on the alleged corruption within the Immigration Department and other government agencies. One of the root causes of illegal immigration is the rampant in-your-face alleged corruption of public officials tasked with border security. Secondly, is to deal with the massive incompetence and inefficiency within the system. Thirdly, is the training of existing border protection officers and raising the standards for new officers. The passing of draconian fascist laws would do little to reduce illegal immigration if those tasked with enforcing the law are the problem themselves. And what I have just pointed out is not an exhaustive list by any stretch of imagination. More importantly, questions should be asked, such as how do people or persons who are subjected to a stop list still manage to enter the Turks and Caicos legally? Yes, through the airport. How can the freelance work permit, which is proposed to be abolished, how can that program be abused without participation of persons and the inside of the system? But more importantly, this proposed amendment, in my view, is a response to the case of the Tuberfields family, who were illegally detained by police and immigration officers, forcing the government to pay out thousands of dollars in damages. The rationale for the proposed amendment is irrational, absurd, and childish. It simply states that the change is necessary because immigration officers find it administratively burdensome because the law does not require people to carry their status at all times. This has to be the joke of the century. So, to follow the reasoning of the authorities, it is inconvenient for immigration officers and police officers to follow the law as it is and to respect the rights of citizens, residents, and immigrants who are within our borders, because to do so would be an administrative burden. Therefore, the answer is to move the Turks and Caicos Islands towards Nazism and fascism in order to appease the incompetence and inefficiency of the immigration department and immigration officers. In other words, they are proposing to make what was perfectly legal and acceptable in a democratic society now illegal and unacceptable. Those tasked with enforcing the law should not be able to recommend or suggest what laws they wish to enforce and how. They should simply comply with the law as they find it and bring their practices and procedures within the confines of the law. We should say no to that particular proposed amendments. I'll be back in a subsequent episode to discuss the proposed amendments in more detail. Here is where I will leave it for today. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and comment. And I will see you in another episode.